legendary black beast of Ark resided in the fairly unassuming and out-of-the-way caves of Caer Banog, and by all accounts was a tremendously nasty, invulnerable monster that mysteriously arrived one day and just as mysteriously vanished without a trace many decades later. Descriptions of it have never been very dependable, since by all accounts everyone who went into the cave got horribly murdered and eaten by it. The beast is so lethal, everything that got too close to the cave was in serious peril, with almost any creature other than simple shrubs, grasses, moss and lichen eventually meeting a grim and sudden end. It took many years and countless deaths for a creature somehow hardy and fierce enough to survive such an environment, and with the sheer attrition of countless numbers which died before having offspring of their own, each one a bit more adapted to the danger, only one species could prove capable of doing this. A formerly domesticated breed of extremely fertile, fast-moving, highly agile mammal creatures called bunny rabbits. Do not be lulled into a false sense of security by the warm, creamy white and fluffy coat of fur encasing this creature, or the large, delightfully pink-hued eyes, the oversized paws and tiny little nose that twitches as it detects the scents around it, nor the large and sometimes floppy ears that sweep back from its rounded head. Do not think for a moment that the diminutive size of such a creature makes it any less of a threat. As I tell you now, it merely makes the thing almost impossible to hit. The Vorpal Bunny dwells at the entrance of the caves of Caer Banog, in a series of tight warrens dug extensively into the hillside, with many exit and entry points, switchbacks, and killing chambers quite literally packed with bones. It is slightly larger than a normal rabbit, but only when viewed from a distance does it seem completely normal. But as one gets closer to it, some disturbing deviations from the norm become more and more obvious. The killer rabbit has very powerful legs and jaw muscles, and the jaw can freely dislocate to widen the bite of the rabbit to latch onto a target as thick as an arm, leg, or a human neck, with a bite force sufficient to sever the head of a grown man in mere seconds. Cautious examination of the cave entrance before one approaches too close will reveal bones strewn about all over the place, including a lot of broken skulls located some short distance from the body which they once belonged to. The Vorpal rabbit is a masterful ambush predator, using its own deceptive appearance as bait. So among the piles of bones are quite a few bear, wolf and hawk bones, quite a few badgers and other predators who assumed they were in for an easy meal. One bit of good news is that the Vorpal rabbit is still a fairly tiny creature, and it's much better at dishing out extreme violence than it is at receiving it. One good solid strike with a decent weapon and will either be dead or mortally wounded. The trick is being fast enough and sure enough to actually hit the little monster before it latches onto a limb or neck and snaps those razor-fanged jaws shut. So whatever method you are using to determine what makes the first attack in a combat situation, you better hope the rabbit doesn't get to attack first. Killer rabbit is a well-known trope in media thanks to the film by Monty Python and the Holy Grail, made in 1975. Wikipedia tells us that killer rabbits are a medieval literary tradition going back to at least the 1170s, with illuminations in which the rabbits seek justice against the hunters. The idea for the rabbit in the movie was taken from the facade of the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris. This illustrates the weakness of cowardice by showing a knight fleeing from a rabbit. In one manuscript from the 1340s, there is a sort of a comic strip in the page margins where we can see a group of giant beefy rabbits get their gruesome revenge on a hunter. First, a rabbit archer shoots the hunter in the back, then the rabbits tie him up and haul him before a rabbit judge to be tried, and after a guilty verdict is delivered, the ruthless rabbits drag the hunter away and behead him. However, the rabbits then go on to shoot down the hunter's hound, tie it up, put it on trial, and then hang it. Vengeance on the hunters, fighting pretty much anybody, baking pies made out of human, presumably. Rabbits and sometimes snails decorate page edges in old books, and showing up in odd places on buildings' walls tells us that life was not all drudge, illness, toil, and violence in the Middle Ages. They enjoyed a good joke as well. Rabbits are not rodents. Prior to 1912 they were called rodents, but these days they belong to the lagomorphs and include 42 species of rabbit, 34 species of pika, and 33 species of hare. The rabbits and hares evolved in relative isolation back in the Paleocene, when India was an island continent for a while, then exploded out to populate the world with a lot more species than there are now. Perhaps they've settled down a bit, but I imagine the diversity will decline further in wild rabbits and increase in the domesticated rabbits going forward. Rabbits differ from rodents in that they have 4 incisor teeth and only eat plants, while rodents have 2 incisors and do eat meat as well as plants. Also, rabbits have fur on the bottom of their feet, and the females are larger than the males, which is unusual in mammal species. Many rabbit species breed more than once a year and produce large litters of offspring, which are called kits. The rabbit mothers produce unusually rich milk. In some cases, just a single feeding in a day is all the kits need to grow rapidly, and they are weaned off the milk in about a month. Not all rabbits have burrows, some just make a sort of a nest dug in a concealed spot called a form. Hares typically live above ground, and their offspring gestate much longer and are born with fur, already able to move around, living mostly solitary lives, but they tend to travel around in groups, while rabbits and pikas are gregarious and live on social colonies, with their kits being born less developed and quite helpless, needing to be cared for. So you can imagine, if left to nature, eventually the hares would evolve to replace all the large grazing animals, and rabbits could evolve to be intelligent social animals like humans. Hey, you never know. Rabbits-themed humanoids are nothing particularly new to role-playing games. While I've yet to see a really cool rabbit lycanthrope or were-rabbit, I'm sure they exist somewhere in the hobby, and they're easy enough to homebrew using whatever rule system you prefer. They are fast, they can jump, and they have very sensitive sight, smell, and hearing. My name is AJ Pickett. I'll be bringing you the next derailed fantasy adventure shortly. There will certainly be rabbits involved in most unexpected ways. In the meantime, thanks for listening, and as always, I'll be back with more for you very soon.